We all have so many questions tonight about the gunman who opened fire in Highland Park on July 4th at the parade and his ability to purchase a firearm, even though he was no stranger to law enforcement. Police, we now know, were called to Robert Crimo III's home twice back in 2019. The first was when he apparently threatened to commit suicide. 5 months later, he threatened to kill everyone at his home. His parents now disputing that account, saying it was over-dramatized. Yet Crimo's father did sign an affidavit that allowed his then 19-year-old to apply for a state firearms ownership ID card. It's called a FOID card. Mike Brown is a firearms instructor and criminal justice lecturer, joining us tonight to dig in to the details of this. And for a lot of people, hindsight is 20/20, right? There were lots and lots of red flags. We have this police report, the family now debating the account and the accuracy of some of what was said. That being said, Mike, clearly the Highland Park police officer who was called that day showed up at the house, felt it necessary enough to deem Crimo a clear and present danger. That went to the Illinois State Police, but wasn't sufficient enough to go any further than there. Let's start right there. What happens in that process? Who gets that document, and how does it go?
Well, first of all, I had a chance to review that case report written by the officer and the clear and present danger report that was also reviewed. And I have to be honest and state that it seemed to be a copy and paste job. It seemed to be that in some of these suburbs where it's rather affluent, or even in suburbs where it's not as affluent, politics reigns heavy when it comes down to the police and what the officer knows needs to be done versus what the citizens and the politicians control the officer from doing. So we cannot leave that out of the discussion. It seemed to be that the officer didn't ask more questions, perhaps because of maybe some of the political influence or some of the citizenry influence, and there was never really a deep dive into those questions as it would have probably taken place had this situation occurred in other neighborhoods. And so, having reviewed that clear and present danger police report, it was so much vague information that I fully support the state police's decision not to go any further, because there was nothing, absolutely nothing, that provided them enough information to be able to state beyond mere speculation or a threat that what qualifies this as a threat, what was really said, and they had no cooperation from the parents.
Couldn't they? Let me interrupt you. Couldn't they then go back and review it and go, well, he deemed it concerning enough to file the clear and present danger report. Maybe I should call him and get more details. I mean, isn't there the onus on the person who's reviewing it to follow up as well?
Well, according to Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly, he had a press conference that was on another news network, and he clearly stated that there was some follow-up, but upon that follow-up and upon further requests from the family, no one would provide any information. And unfortunately, there is a burden of proof that has to be met. That burden of proof is called the preponderance of the evidence, which is higher than probable cause. And with the preponderance of the evidence, if there is no evidence, what is the state police to do, if anything?
Let me ask you this, Mike. The clear and present danger report, does that stay in a file somewhere so when somebody does apply for a firearm later, it's at least there to review and go back and follow up? I mean, does it live on, or does it get shredded and it disappears?
Well, that would be a question that would be best answered by the Illinois State Police, but I'm going to mirror what Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly said, that's information that would be subject to their disclosure, because it is an ongoing case going on right now. And I wouldn't even have information as regards to that. In terms of the local police level, I can say that there is a clear and present report that is kept. Obviously, media agencies were able to retain it, or were able to obtain it through the FOIA process, but that's about as far as it goes with local police agencies. Right. As it relates to the Illinois State Police, you would have to ask them that.
Right. So we have the report from Highland Park Police. We have a statement from the Illinois State Police saying there was insufficient evidence to then pursue the clear and present danger. Let's talk about the dad in all of this. What he knew, when he knew it, those are questions we don't have answers to right now. He claims he didn't see any of these red flags that now are apparent, but he did sponsor his son to get the FOID application. Is he questioned in person when he does that, or is it an all on paper kind of thing?
Well, if you're talking about the affidavit, it is an all on paper thing. And so having helped parents who wanted to get their teenagers and actual, 18 years of age or older, having helped them, it's an affidavit that pretty much just repeats some of the same language that the applicant themselves has to state that they are not adjudicated a delinquent, that they have no mental defects or anything, and they haven't been involuntarily committed to a hospital. And it does state at the end of that I authorize this minor, this person who I have legal responsibility for, that I authorize this person to undergo the background check by the state police, and that I will be responsible for their use of firearms and ammunition. I also have to back that up by stating that Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly also stated that once they turn 21, the FOID card is a card that lasts 10 years. If they turn 21 during that period, it now moves away from that parent or guardian and is solely on that person who has now turned 21, as is the case in Robert Crimo III. Considered
an adult. Well, this may be a sticking point legally as we move forward. We'll continue to follow it. Mike, thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Coming up.